Hello and welcome to the Experiencing Love podcast. I'm your host, Philip Jocks, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today I kind of just want to talk about making mistakes. We all make mistakes. We've all made so many mistakes. We've all made decisions, done actions that we think are mistakes, but I don't truly believe that they're mistakes. We may do things that hurt other people. We may do things that hurt ourselves. But I think ultimately, at the end of the day, there is a deeper reason for each of the mistakes that we make. We're not perfect. We're far from it. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's perfect in its own way. And I acknowledge that I don't do things right all the time. I don't do things that make everybody around me happy. And I don't do things that make me happy all the time, I mean. Sometimes my instincts or sometimes my deeper intrusive thoughts come out and sometimes they win. Even though I know not to do something, I do it anyways. And like with anything, any decision, any choice that we make, there are consequences. And I face those consequences. And at the same time, I acknowledge that the choice in front of me was in front of me for a reason. I don't know that reason, and I know that in that moment I chose wrong. But for each time that I choose wrong, it impacts me towards choosing right. Yes, I chose wrong today. Yes, you may have chosen wrong today. But after a certain number of times choosing wrong, you're going to choose right. And it may be that you only choose right 1 out of every 10 times, 1 out of every 100 times, 1 out of every 1,000. But eventually, the more you choose right, the more it becomes a part of you. And then you'll get to 2 out of 10, 2 out of 100, 2 out of 1,000. And you'll just keep going and keep growing so long as you keep focusing on what you do want to do, not what you don't. Part of making my mistakes is that I focus really hard on the mistake itself. I focus on what I want to avoid. And because of that, I invite it into my life. I feel as though I'm thinking out loud right now, reasoning with myself as to why did I do what I did before? Why do I make the choices that I make? And I think it was because in trying so hard to not make mistakes, I focus more on them and therefore make them more. So part of the whole strategy that I need to build for myself is rather than focusing on the mistakes that I want to avoid, I really need to become clear on what I want to do instead. If I'm trying to avoid one thing, what am I trying to do instead? What's the better option? And just focusing on that, just making that a priority in my mind, letting the regrettable decisions melt away into my mind, see them as clouds floating by in the sky, and really just focus on what is it that I want to create. Every day I say to myself, I will lead, not follow. I will believe, not doubt. I will create, not destroy. I don't want to destroy myself. I don't want to bring myself down. I want to create something in my life. I want to build myself up. And to do that, it's not about removing parts of you. It's about building up the parts of you that are important to you, the positive parts, the parts that you want to strengthen. Because, habits and routines and choices like these are patterns and they are muscle. And it works in either direction, where the muscle that we practice is the muscle that grows. If you have a habit that's not serving you and you know it doesn't serve you and you're looking to make a new decision, focus on the opposite habit that you need to build. Build that muscle. Work that muscle out. Like with working out in the gym, it doesn't happen overnight, but it does get stronger. And the less you use the other habit, the weaker it becomes. And the weaker it becomes, the less you use it, the less you turn to it. I think the other thing to know about habits, or I don't want to say habits, I think another thing to know about these decisions that we make is that every decision we make looks to serve one of our needs. So if you find yourself consistently making the same mistake, the same decision over and over and over again, ask yourself which need is being met by that decision. Which of your needs is being met? And how can you meet it in a different way? Because you still need to meet those needs. You can't just say, oh, I'm just not going to fulfill that need, because your body, your mind is still going to find a way to get that met. And if you don't do it consciously, it'll do it unconsciously, and it'll pick the muscle that's the strongest, which happens to be the muscle you're trying to weaken. In the past, it's been easy for me to have self-doubts. It seems as though it was easier to believe in others than it was to believe in myself. That's not the case anymore. And while that's not the case, there are times that a doubt will creep in. and it reminds me that it still exists. That's why every day I need to remind myself that I will believe, not doubt. Whenever anybody else tells me about their goals, their dreams, their plans, their outcomes, their wins, I always have this level of belief in them. Even if their own doubts pop in and start to explain why they can't do something, I look past it and I see them and their true beliefs, and I believe in them. I've had to learn to give myself that same grace, give myself the same treatment. I've made mistakes. I've hurt people. I haven't been perfect. There are definitely people out there who want absolutely nothing to do with me, and that is completely okay, because it has nothing to do with them and everything to do with me. Part of making mistakes is being able to take responsibility for them. Whenever something like a decision comes up and I make a choice, I immediately take responsibility for the choice that I've made. If I feel a certain way or I react a certain way, I know that it's on me. I did that. I put myself there. There's always some level of responsibility for me to take. As much as I can, I practice that. Everything will be okay, no matter how long it takes or how many tries we have to go through. Everything will work out exactly as it's supposed to. Just don't give up. It's okay to keep making mistakes, because as we go, we learn, and as we learn, we grow, and we will grow those new muscles. You're getting there. I'm getting there. We'll make it there together, one step at a time. You deserve to have a wonderful rest of your day. I truly do look forward to seeing you in the next one, and I look forward to growing together. I love you.